Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome back to Feed the Beast Infinity. I'm going to be carrying on with Applied Energistics and our ME storage system today, and we'll probably be doing that over the next few videos. So I've been quite busy this morning doing some preparation work. I've been doing a little bit of mining and a little bit of crafting because, you know, apparently that's what the game is all about. So I'll just talk you through the things that I have done this morning. First of all, I've gone ahead and built the pulverizer. I was originally going to do that in today's video, but I've built one before in previous videos. It's a really basic thermal expansion machine. It is literally a basic machine frame, 2 copper gears, 2 pieces of flint, a redstone reception coil, and there's one other thing as well, a piston. So it's really easy to make. So that is all in place and ready to go. The only reason I haven't had one of those built is because I generally tend to use the macerator for everything, because obviously my Industrial 2 craft power is solar, so it doesn't really cost me anything. Whereas all of my forestry and thermal expansion stuff all run from engines, so I'm having to burn fuel, be it peat or coal or whatever. So I always tend to prefer to use the use Industrial Craft 2 stuff where I can. But that is built and it is ready to go. Speaking of burning fuel, I've also discovered that the vibration chamber also works from peat, which means I don't have to use coal in it, which is fantastic because what I've been doing is using the coal to make diamonds. In fact, I've only managed to make a couple of diamonds because the macerator has been running pretty much non-stop. So I've made some more glass. I've made some more Fluix crystals. I've charged some more Ceratus quartz. I've been to the Nether again this morning, which I absolutely hate that place. Oh yeah, I've also built another energy acceptor and put it here connected to our energy input to the room. I may need to reconfigure this room completely at some point, but that is where our ME network is going to connect to. So, yeah, as I was saying, I went to the Nether. Pretty much every ore that I tried to mine blew up in my face. So I ended up coming back with a load of netherrack, which is pretty useless for me. Some more quartz, and I did get some glowstone. Now, glowstone is going to be very useful for us later on. So we'll take... Wow, I've got less than 2 stacks of glowstone. Well, we'll grab that anyway. So we're pretty much in a good position now where we can actually start working with our ME system. So let's keep this sand in there for now. I think we've got enough stuff to get going. We might need some more materials, but we're not going to get the entire ME system built in this video anyway. Oh yeah, I also went out to the shallow lava pool that was outside in the area where we were getting all of the obsidian from. I've got every last block of obsidian from there now, so we're going to have to find another source. Got attacked by one of those annoying Eldritch Guardians again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about Applied Energistics, about the ME system, what it basically is and what it does, because when I did my previous Feed the Beast series, a lot of people were asking me to cover Applied Energistics. A lot of people were asking me to cover ME. And it wasn't something that I'd ever dabbled around with before, so I didn't really touch on it. But I think I understand it well enough now to explain it to people who don't really know how it works. So I know a lot of you that watch this series are familiar with Applied Energistics and familiar with ME. So if I'm covering stuff that you already know, please bear with me, because I am trying to do this to help people who haven't used these systems before. So let's just go in and have a look at the Applied Energistics stuff, and we can see the things that we have, because there's quite a lot of different blocks and things, and we're going to be building some of these. Not all of them, but I'll basically explain what ME is. So ME is matter energy. It's matter energy storage. What we're essentially doing is we're building a large computer network. And we can take all of the stuff that we've collected, so we can have all of our tools and food, we can have all of our blocks, all of the cobblestone, all of the junk that we've got in chests around the place. And instead of them having them take up chests and barrels, we can actually convert them from matter into energy and save them onto storage within the ME network. So it's kind of like scanning in a document into your computer and storing it as a file. And then when we want it later, we can print it back out again. That means that we can take a load of stuff and put it in a much smaller space. Now, the other great thing is because it's all networked, we can have access terminals around the building that all connect to the same network, which means we don't have to run up and down 5 or 6 different floors to try and find which chest we put our redstone in, when all we have to do is go to to any of the computer terminals that we've installed on any of the floors, look for redstone, and if it's in the network, we'll be able to access it from wherever we are. So that's the main point of the ME system. Now, it does require power. And somebody did make a very good point on the previous video, which is something I was already aware of and I wasn't going to do it anyway, which is the reason why I've put all of my yellowite ore in a separate chest next to the reactor, is don't put absolutely everything you own inside the ME system. I would advise keeping at least 1 or 2 chests around and having some basic essentials in it. So some torches, some food, maybe a sword, some basic tools, some kind of fuel, be it coal or peat or stuff for your reactor. Because the last thing you want is to have every single thing you own inside your ME system and have the power run out because your reactor's just cut because you've run out of yellowite ore, and all of your yellowite ore, your yellowite ingots, are in the ME system and you can't get them because the power's out. So it's always worth having a little bit of a backup plan. I'm not going to have everything connected to the ME network. So we're going to have power coming in and it's going to be supplied through the energy acceptor. Now this is connected via those flux ducts cables that run out to the reactor. And the energy acceptor is an applied energistics block that will convert it into AE power that we can use. So let's have a look at the main blocks that we're going to be using as part of the ME network here. So I've got to try and find the correct ones. So first of all, this is the first thing we're going to be building is the ME controller. Now, you don't need an ME controller straight the way for your ME network because an ME network can have 8 devices connected to it. If you go over the 8 devices, it won't work, and that's when you need an ME controller. The ME controller is basically like a computer hub. It allows you to expand your network by connecting more devices together. Now, the network uses a series of channels. Each individual device on the network requires a channel. There are some things that are part of applied energistics that connect to the network that don't use channels. So for example, if it's something that's just taking power, so for example, if we look at these crystal growth accelerators, we could actually connect that up to the network because we can use these ME glass cables to connect things together to the network. And these things just take power. They don't take any data. So the only things that really require data is things that store or things that move. So if something allows you to put data in or take data out or store data, then it requires a channel. Now, by default, a network only has 8 channels. If you go ahead and build an ME controller, this increases the number of channels you can have on the network because the ME controller can put out 32 different channels per side. Now, obviously, you have to use the right kind of cables for that. If you just use the standard ME glass cables, you only get 8 channels because those cables only carry 8 channels. But you can also put multiple blocks of this together next to each other and make a multi-block machine and really, really increase the number of channels. But because we are definitely going to need at least one of these in the future, because we are going to go big with this system, I'm going to build one as my first step and get that ready as part of my infrastructure. The second thing we have here is the ME drive. Now, like I said, everything in ME gets stored onto disks. Now, we do have to build the disks. We have to build the storage disks, and that is built by using storage casings and the storage components here. As you can see, there are different sizes. So we've got like 1K, 4K, 64K. Obviously, the bigger ones are more expensive to build, but they give you a higher storage capacity. And there you can see is the ME storage housing. So they're a little bit like a hard disk. And the ME drive is basically a rack where we install all of these hard disks in. We can install up to 10 disks in a single drive. So that is basically going to be our server-wide storage. Now, there's another option for storage called the ME chest. The ME chest is a little bit weird because it can work standalone. It still requires power, so it's either going to have to be connected to the ME network somewhere, or you could just power it via a vibration chamber. And it works a little bit like a normal chest, except things aren't stored within the block itself. It requires you to put a storage drive inside it. So if you put a storage drive inside the chest, then any items you put in the chest get written to the drive. Or if you've got stuff on the drive, you can then take those items out of the chest. Now, this is something that somebody has suggested as a very, very good way of doing remote quarries, because you can have a quarry somewhere with an ME chest with a drive in it, and you can basically pump everything into this chest, and that will then write everything onto the drive. Now, of course, it will need power, and as I've said, you can use a vibration chamber. We've already established that we can actually use peat in the vibration chambers, which is the same fuel that I'm using to power my quarry. So we could definitely do that, and we'd have a disk full of all the stuff. So that would then mean we'd need a way to move that into the network. Now, I can't see the item on the screen at the moment because I can't see where it is. It is eluding me. Where are you? Got to find it now. They all look slightly different. It's the I/O port. There we go, the ME I/O port. So what the I/O port allows us to do is to take our disk out of the ME chest and plug it into the I/O port, and we can download everything from the disk into the network. You can also, of course, take things from the network and download them onto a disk and go and put them into a remote chest somewhere or into another network. Because remember, ME, you can have multiple different networks if you want. Then we have the interface. The interface is basically a block that allows the ME network to interface with other machines, other blocks and other mods. So we could connect it to BuildCraft pipes, we could connect it to a macerator, we could connect it to a furnace. It basically allows us to move things between the ME system and between other mods. We then have... what else do we have? There's a few other bits and pieces around as well. Just trying to find where they all are. These are all the cables. Now, the different types of cables that I will cover shortly. So we've got the terminals. There's an ME crafting terminal, the ME interface terminal. The interface terminal is a little bit like our keyboard and computer screen. That's what allows us to have a look on the network, and we can go in, see what we've got stored, and we can search for things. What we can also do is we can upgrade it to a crafting terminal that actually allows us to craft things as if it were a crafting table and access materials that are built directly within the network. There are a couple of other things as well. There's an export bus and an import bus. An export bus is used to take things out of the network and feed them into a machine. So, for example, we might use an export bus to take gold ore out of the network and put it into a furnace. And then we might use the import bus to take the gold ingots out of the furnace and import them back into the network. And there are a couple of other different things as well, like point-to-point tunnels, which we don't really need to cover until later on because, to be quite honest, that is getting into the more advanced stuff. There are a few other things as well. The storage monitors, storage bus. Trying to remember which one the storage bus does. Can't remember that one off the top of my head. And there are a few different cables as well. The ones that we've been building are the ME glass cables. Now, you can colour them. The default colour is this Sphax colour, which is the purple colour. You can colour them. The advantage of colouring them is that different coloured cables won't join together, and it also makes it easier for you to actually see where each cable is going. Now, you can also cover them with wool and make it into... Ignore the smart cable. You can cover it with wool and make it into a covered cable. Now, you can colour the covered cables as well. Now, the coloured covered cables work exactly the same way as the glass cable. There isn't really an advantage to making it a covered cable, except it looks a little bit nicer. However, you can upgrade the covered cable into these smart cables, and the smart cables are very useful because they have little like LED indicators that run along the cables that show you which channels are being used. So it's very, very useful if you want to sort of trace the data flow through the network. And then, of course, there's these thicker cables. These are the dense cables. These are the ones that can carry 32 channels of data, whereas the small ones only carry 8 channels of data. So that's pretty much all of the basic bits and pieces that are within the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to build our first piece, which is going to be the controller, which is this one over here. So we already started getting some bits for it. We've got skystone blocks already. We've got the Sphax crystals. We were making this engineering processor. Now, we managed to make the printed engineering circuit last time, but we needed to make the silicon circuit. And I couldn't do that because we didn't have any silicon. Now, it says we need sand in the pulverizer. Now, we do have a load of sand around because I have been macerating up random junk all morning. Let's just go down here and sleep things off because it is getting to nighttime. I'll probably make a few of these silicon things because I simply feel that we're going to end up making a lot more of these... different processes and things as time goes on. So let's just flick the power on. I haven't even tested the pulverizer actually. Well, it's getting power, so at least I've cabled it up correctly. There we go. It's going to start going a lot faster once the engines start to get up to speed. That's the other problem, of course, with using engines, is when you first turn them on, they're really, really slow, and it does take them a little bit of time to get up to power. Now, not to mention, of course, we've also got several other machines that are all connected to the same system, including the thermionic fabricator, of course, which is stealing a lot of the power to try and get some heat in there. But we should get enough in there to be able to pulverize this sand and turn it into silicon. So I did ask you guys last time if there was any other way of getting silicon. There we go. I did find it a little bit strange that there was no silicon recipe for Applied Energistics itself, but apparently if you've got Ender IO installed, it automatically replaces the recipe with the Ender IO one, which is what this is. You can see this is Ender IO silicon. So it's a little bit of a strange one, but we're going to need the silicon anyway. So I'll let that finish. I'll grab what we already have, and we can go up to this floor. So let's just remind ourselves what we need there. There's our controller. So we need to make this one here, and that's going to require the silicon press. I should have guessed that, really. So let's just pop materials in there. We need one of you, and we need the silicon press. So we can go in here, and we can put the silicon press in the top. We can put the silicon in the bottom. No, the silicon goes in the middle. There we go. And it's charging up, and boom, boom, there we go. It has pressed, and we have ourselves the silicon circuit. So what we've got now, we have the printed engineering circuit that we did last time, and we've got the printed silicon circuit that we did this time. We need a piece of redstone, and then we go back into the press. We put the printed engineering circuit at the top. We put the printed silicon circuit at the bottom. One piece of redstone in the material slot, and again, we wait for it to charge up. And bam, there we go. We have ourselves an engineering processor. That's what we were waiting for. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to the crafting table. And in fact, we're going to need a few more bits and pieces. We're going to need 4 blocks of skystone. And we've got our pure crystals in here. So the 4 blocks of skystone go in the corner. We want our processor in the middle. And then we want our pure fluix crystals top, bottom, left, and right. And that's not working for some reason because I've gone goofed. Okay, I'm missing something. What am I doing wrong here? Skystone block, pure fluix crystal, engineering processor. What am I missing? It's an engineering processor. Oh, these are skystones and not skystone blocks. Of course, that's where I'm going wrong. Oops-a-daisy. So let's go and fix that. So let's grab a load of skystones. Is it just yeah, we need loads of them. You have to go the full whack on these, don't you? Okay, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and grab some more of these out of there. We'll go and use another crafting table. It saves me having to take everything out of there. While we're going down here, let's go ahead and take out the rest of that silicon. We can turn the engine off, save a little bit of the fuel. I don't have a crafting table up here, which is really, really weird. So let's just go ahead and we're not really going to need the skystone. I think pretty much everything ends up using skystone blocks, really. So we'll try and get as many as we can. Why am I not being able to get skystone blocks? What am I screwing up this time? Oh, is it just smelting them? Oh, okay. There we go. I knew there was a step I was missing. So let's just go and throw these into the electric furnace. It'll take a little bit of time, but not too long at all. We'll have to keep running backwards and forwards. And again, it's something that I will do in my own time. So just go ahead and smelt all of these things up because it'll just take absolutely ages. So let's go and throw all the rest of those back in there. We've got some more silicon. We're going to need to make some more processors. We only need four of these. And we've got 8 already. So there we go. Got enough for 2 different machines. So we may well end up with a larger controller system later, but we don't need one for now. We're just going to go ahead and put these in there. And again, it's not going to work now because they're in the wrong position because I swapped them around when I couldn't work out why it wasn't working. There we go. We have our ME controller. So what we're going to do with the ME controller is we are going to put it down somewhere over here. Now, I do want to try and keep as many sides of it accessible as possible. I could go and jam it in the corner here, but that makes it difficult for me to expand. I could have also put this energy acceptor into the wall, But I wanted to do it this way so I got a little bit more room to come out with that. In fact, I'm not actually happy about my choice to do that. I'm going to get rid of the energy acceptor. I'm going to get rid of one of those pieces of cable. And I'm going to put the energy acceptor actually into the wall. So there's the energy acceptor. Now we are going to need a couple of pieces of the glass cable, which is the only one that I've got. So we're going to connect that on there, and we will come out to maybe here, I think, because we will need to make some more cables. And we're going to put down our controller. And as you can see, it is lit up. It's getting some power. Now that's mainly because there's still power in the reactor. So at some point we're going to have to leave the reactor turned on. No point in doing that now. Now, like I said, you can make this into a multi-block machine. You can actually attach them next to each other. I think the maximum size is 7 blocks by 7 blocks by 7 blocks. So as you can imagine, you can actually make this system quite large. But we're not going to be doing that for a little while. We'll just be able to manage with the one. If we need to increase it later on, we will do. Now, these things do require a certain amount of energy. They can store up to 8,000 AE energy. And it requires, I think it's about 10 AE per tick or something to run. So what we need to do now is we need to make a interface, and we also need to make ourselves some storage. Let's go ahead and have a look at the interface, because we're not going to have time to build everything that we want to this time around. So let's go ahead and look for the interface. Got to find it now. So we're going to build the interface terminal. That's what we want. So let's have a look at this thing here. So this is made with a bright or dark illuminated panel. It's made with an interface, which is, like I said, the interface can actually be used as a block within the world that is used to connect to other mods, but it's also used as a building material for this thing here. And we also need an engineering processor as well. And the interface block is probably one of the most complex things because it needs these formation cores. So let's go ahead and have a look at making the, well, let's have a look at everything first. First of all, we need to make ourselves some illuminated panels. We're definitely going to need some of these. It's 1 iron ingot, 1 redstone, some quartz glass, and some glowstone, most of which we actually have. We only have 2 quartz glass, unfortunately. So we're going to need to grind up some more quartz, because we don't have an awful lot of quartz dust, although we do have a little bit. That's fine. And we've got some glass as well. So let's just go ahead and make ourselves some more quartz glass. Bear in mind, we end up needing loads of these for cables anyway. So there we go. We've got 10 quartz glass now. And the item that I'm looking for has disappeared. So we want to make these illuminated panels. So it's 3 quartz glass, 2 glowstone, and a redstone. So there's the 2 glowstone. We need 3 quartz glass, redstone in the middle, and there was 1 final item, which was an iron ingot, I believe. There we go, and that gives us 3 of those illuminated panels that we can use later on. So this is probably going to be the last block we'll have time for in this video. We also need to build an engineering processor. Now, we know how to build these because we've done one of these already. We'll need 1 of the diamonds. We will need 1 of the bits of silicon. We will need the silicon press, and we will need the engineering press. So we'll start off with the engineering press. So engineering press and diamond. And that should charge up. Yep, we're also going to need another piece of redstone. So there we go, we have our printed engineering circuit. We then need to do the silicon one. So again, that should just take a few seconds to charge up and smash. Still got a good amount of heat in there. So now we've got our printed silicon. And then the engineering one goes at the top, the silicon one goes at the bottom, and the piece of redstone goes in the middle. We can get rid of these 2 presses for the time being. So there we go. We now have the processors. There's 2 of the parts that we need. And let's make sure we just grab one of those illuminated panels out. So we've got some more of the parts. Get rid of those cables. I haven't even got room to get rid of the cables. Got too much junk in my inventory. Okay, so the next part of that little problem is going to be the interface. So iron ingots, not a problem. Glass, not a problem. We need 2 of these formation cores. Now, the formation cores require... we get 2 of them, remember? So it needs 2 quartz. So we can either use a pure quartz crystal or a normal quartz crystal. 2 quartz, 1 Fluix dust, and 1 logic processor. Now, the logic processor is, again, printed silicon. And it is a logic circuit, which is gold. Now, we know we can do the silicon one. So, again, let's grab a silicon. Let's get the silicon press. And I don't think I have any gold up here, so we'll grab that. So, there goes the silicon press to make the silicon one. Do I have any gold up here at all? Doesn't look like I do. So, let's go down and grab ourselves some gold. There's plenty of it knocking around. It's just finding what chests it is in. And again, this is a problem that we're not going to have once we've got the ME system up and running. So we also need the logic press this time around. So we'll grab our printed silicon. We'll put in the logic press along with the gold ingot. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's just have one final look at those. So the gold one goes at the top. So what we do then is we need another piece of redstone. So we take that out, and then the gold one goes at the top, the silicon one goes at the bottom, the piece of redstone goes in the middle. It's charging up. Have we used all of that? Put that back in the chest so we don't lose it. And there we go, we have our logic processor. So that should allow us now to be able to go ahead and make these things. We've got the Fluix dust, we've got the logic processor, and we get 2 of them. So we're going to go in here, we want the processor there, we want 1 Fluix dust in the middle, and we want 1 pure Ceratus crystal. That gives us 2 of these formation cores. They can go there, and I've forgotten the recipe already because that's how terrible my memory is. 4 iron ingots in the corners because that's all I've got, and 2 ordinary glass top and bottom. And I still feel like somehow that has gone and screwed up. Iron, 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 iron. Normal glass should work with the look of things, and 2 formation cores. Does it not work with normal glass? Okay, I've messed something up. Let's have a look at that again. Normal iron ingots, 265. Formation core, 4306, 43. 40. Oh, one of them has to be an annihilation core. Ah, I missed that one because they look very, very similar. So one of them has to be an annihilation core, which is the same job again, but it requires nether quartz. So we can do that. We just need to make ourselves another one of those circuits. I knew I'd end up making 2. I nearly bought a second piece of gold up. So logic press and silicon press. So let's just go ahead and do that. We'll put the silicon in there with the silicon press. I'm going to go and grab another gold ingot. It was just one of those things that I thought, I'm sure for some reason I need to build 2 of those circuits. And then I didn't. Oh, wrong way. There we go. So we've got our silicon one. Let's go ahead now and print the logic one. Again, going to need another piece of redstone. That should be done very soon. There we go. So you can go in there along with the silicon at the bottom and the piece of redstone. Let's go ahead and get rid of those. There we are. And you know what I've gone and... Oh, no, it's fine. I was thinking I was short of iron ingots, but that is not going to be the problem. So what we need to do for this thing is put the processor there and then the Fluix dust in the middle. But then this time we can use pure nether quartz, and that gives us the annihilation core, but we're going to get 2. So what we do then is we, once again, forget what we were building. There we go, glass top and bottom, iron ingots in the corner. So they go in like so, glass top and bottom. 1 formation core on the right, 1 annihilation core on the left. That gives us our interface block. That's fantastic. We're running out of space to start putting some of this stuff in over here. So now we've got our interface block, we've got our illuminated panel, and we've got our engineering processor. We have our interface terminal. So this is what we're going to be able to use to connect everything together. So let's pop that in there. Now we've got no power now because the thing's just run out of power. So what you can see is we can actually put it directly onto the side of something, but now it's facing the wrong way. So let's go ahead and just take that off. Although we can actually access it from that direction. That's fine. So we can access it directly from the core itself. Or what we could do is we could actually connect it to a cable. And this is going to work better if I hold down shift and zap it. It'll make life a little bit easier. What we could do is, let's do it that way actually. We will connect a cable to the top of this. And then we will just connect our panel on to the side. Now it looks a little bit more like an interface. And the good thing with these is you can hide them in walls. You could block up around it. And this is what we'll be doing. We'll actually be building these things into walls to make it much neater. Doesn't really matter in this room because this is the AE room. This room's just going to be a mess. This is a server room. But when we actually start building these things into other rooms, we will build them so that we can actually access them hidden nicely in the walls. Now, as you can see, it's not really showing an awful lot because we don't have any storage attached to it. But we have our hub, we have a controller, we've got our interface terminal. So when we come back in the next video, we will be going ahead and building our drive and some storage, and then we'll be able to start putting stuff onto the system. And it'll get a little bit more complicated from that. Remember, of course, we can move things around. You can easily reconfigure the network without fear of losing any of your stuff, because all of your stuff is stored on the actual storage drive. So as long as you don't destroy your storage drives, you'll always be able to get the stuff back out of them one way or another. But there we go. We have made a start to ME storage, and we shall continue doing that over the next few videos. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you're still enjoying, and I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.